Yesterday, we finally finished reading the second sutta of the second section of the second chapter. Today, we're going to read the third sutta of this section. It's actually the third section of the second chapter, the quest for enlightenment. Today, we're going to read the ancient city. Months before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me, alas, this world has fallen into trouble, in that it is born, ages and dies. It passes away and is reborn. Yet, it does not understand the escape from this suffering, headed by aging and death. When now will an escape be discerned from this suffering, headed by aging and death? So this was the Buddha's question before his enlightenment. He's not yet fully enlightened, and he ponders this question. This world is in trouble. It is born, ages, and will die. Then the Buddha asked, when will an escape be discerned from this suffering, headed by aging and death? Next paragraph, Sister Saike, would you like to read?
Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists doesn't aging and death come to be? By what is aging and death conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is birth, aging and death comes to be. Aging and death has birth as its condition.
Thanks, Sister Saike. So this was when the Buddha traced back. What is the cause of aging and death? The Buddha traced back all the way. That through careful attention, the Buddha comes to the conclusion, when there is birth, aging and death comes to be. Aging and death has birth as its condition. So this one, okay, actually I want to show something else regarding with this. It was interesting that the Buddha, okay, let me see. The Buddha comes to this conclusion, then I thought, are there other people who has the same or similar conclusions? Yeah. So I looked through. Actually, there's this term called Anti-Natalism. Anti-Natalism, and then okay, let me share my screen. Anti-Natalism or Anti-Natalism is the ethical view that negatively values procreation. Anti-Natalists argue that humans should abstain from procreation because it is morally wrong. Yeah. So here, some of the idea, maybe it's okay. Let me zoom in. That it would be better not to have been born. It's found in the ancient Greece too. Yeah. And if you scroll down further, the first one actually cites the Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha among the Four Noble Truths. Yeah. So it's interesting that some other people also have similar similar conclusion that birth is the cause of suffering. Though arguably it could be said that probably the Buddha was the first to expound it in this era at least. So that is interesting to me. Let's continue with our sutta. Sister Billy, would you like to read?
Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does birth come to be? Existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, name and form. By what is name and form conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is consciousness, name and form comes to be. Name and form has consciousness as its condition.
Okay, thanks, Sister Billy. Okay, while the previous paragraph, some other people comes to the conclusion that birth is the cause of suffering. But here, this one, let's say birth, aging, and death, existence, clinging, existence, the third one, clinging, fourth, craving, fifth, feeling, sixth, contact, seventh, six sense bases, eighth, name and form, ninth, and then consciousness, 10. So all these are parts, if I'm not mistaken, part of the dependent origination. I have not seen this somewhere else outside the Buddha's teaching. So I would say this is probably unique to the Buddha's teaching. Okay, next paragraph is the Aikin. Would you like to read? Sorry, you're muted.
Then, monks, it occurred to me, when what exists does consciousness come to be? By what is consciousness and consciousness conditioned? Then, monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is name and form, consciousness comes to be. Consciousness has name and form as its condition. Then, monks, it occurred to me, this consciousness turns back. It does not go back. It does not go further than name and form. It is to this extent that one may be born and age and die, pass away and be reborn. That is when there is consciousness with name and form as its condition, and name and form with consciousness as its condition. With name and form as condition, the six sense bases with the six sense bases as condition, contact. Such is the origin of this whole mess of suffering. Origination thus monks in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, penetration, and light.
Thanks, Sister Aikin. Let's take a look at footnotes number 20. In the usual formula of dependent origination, consciousness is said to be conditioned by volitional formations, Sankara Pachaya Vinyana. This variant reveals the interplay of consciousness and name and form to be the hidden vortex underlying all existence within the realm of rebirth. And footnotes number 21. SPK, the commentary. To this extent, one may be born, age, and die. with consciousness as a condition for name and form, and with name and form as a condition for consciousness. To this extent, one may be born and undergo rebirth. What is there beyond this that can be born or undergo rebirth? Isn't it just this that is born and undergoes rebirth? Okay, let's continue reading. Sister Sherry, would you like to read?
Okay. Then monks, it occurred to me when what does not exist, does aging and death not come to be? With the sensation of what does the sensation of age and death come about? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there's no birth, aging and death does not come to be. With the sensation of birth comes sensation of aging and death.
Okay, thanks, Sister Sherry. So initially, the Buddha sees the relationship. Now, the Buddha reverses the relationship. When there is birth, aging, and death comes to be. Here, when there is no birth, aging, and death does not come to be. With the cessation of birth comes cessation of aging and death. Next paragraph, Sister Swami, would you like to read?
It occurred to me, when what does not exist, does birth not come to be? Existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, name and form. With the cessation of what does the cessation of name and form come about? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no consciousness, name and form does not come to be. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of name and form.
Okay, thanks, Sister Swami. Okay, so this formula is repeated for all these components. Existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, six sense bases. You can follow the similar formula in this paragraph. Yeah. So Hikobody here uses ellipsis just to abridge the sutta. So it's a little bit more readable and less repetitive. Okay, let us continue a few more paragraphs. It occurred to me, when what does not exist, does consciousness not come to be? With the cessation of what does the cessation of consciousness come about? Then monks, through careful attention, there took place in me a breakthrough by wisdom. When there is no name and form, consciousness does not come to be. With the cessation of name and form comes cessation of consciousness. Then, monks, it occurred to me, I have discovered this path to enlightenment. That is, with the cessation of name and form comes cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of name and form. With the cessation of name and form, cessation of six sense bases. With the cessation of the six sense bases, cessation of contact. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. Footnotes number 22. Note that the Buddha discovers the path to enlightenment by realizing the cessation of consciousness, name and form, and the other links of dependent origination, cessation is realized with the experience of Nibbana, the deathless element. Cessation thus, monks, in regard to things unheard before, there arose in me vision, knowledge, wisdom, penetration, and like. So far, any questions or comments? Actually, maybe we can finish by today. Only a few more paragraphs left. This is the second. What should I to read?
Suppose, monks, a man wandering through a forest would see an ancient path, an ancient road traveled upon by people in the past. He would follow it and would see an ancient city, an ancient capital that had been inhabited by people in the past, with parks, groves, ponds, and ramparts, a delightful place. Then the man would inform the king or royal minister, "Sir, know that while wandering through the forest, I saw an ancient path, an ancient road traveled upon by people in the past. I followed it and saw an ancient city, an ancient capital that had been inhabited by people in the past, with parks, groves, ponds, and ramparts, a delightful place. Renovate that city, sir." Then the king or the royal minister would renovate the city, and sometime later, that city would become successful and prosperous, well populated, filled with people, attain to growth and expansion.
Thanks, Sister Second. Okay, this is when the Buddha starts to give a simile. And I think one of the most skillful qualities of the Buddha is the way the Buddha gives a simile. So this one, the Buddha uses an ancient city as a simile. Okay, next paragraph is the Billy, which you like to read.
So too, monks, I saw the ancient path, the ancient road traveled by the perfectly enlightened ones of the past. And what is that ancient path, that ancient road? It is just this noble eightfold path. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. I followed that path, and by doing so, I have directly known aging and death, its origin, its cessation, and the way leading to its cessation. I have directly known birth, existence, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the six sense bases, name and form, consciousness, volitional formations, their origin, their cessation, and the way leading to their cessation. Having directly known them, I have explained them to the monks, the nuns, the male lay followers, and the female lay followers. This spiritual life, monks, has become successful and prosperous, extended, popular, widespread, well proclaimed among devas and humans.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
This is from Samyutta Nikaya 1265. Let's take a look at footnotes number 23. At this point, the text introduces volitional formations. Its principal condition is ignorance, and thus, by mentioning its origin, ignorance too is implied. In this way, all 12 factors of the usual formula of dependent origination are included. At least by implication, Bhikkhu Bodhi says. So initially, just now we counted 10. Now, including volitional formations and adding ignorance, now it becomes complete. all 12 components of dependent origination. 12 links. So here, the Buddha gives the simile of ancient city. A man discovered an ancient city, informing his king. And then that city would become successful, prosperous, well-populated, filled with people, attain to growth and expansion. Now the Buddha has discovered this ancient path, road traveled by perfectly enlightened ones of the past. What is this path? It is just this Noble Eightfold Path. When the Buddha discovered it, the Buddha explained to the monks, to the nuns, to us, followers, lay followers, and this spiritual life has become successful, prosperous, extended, popular, widespread, well proclaimed among devas and humans. And with that concludes this sutta. Any questions or comments? If not, next time we will continue with the decision to teach, section 4 of this chapter. But for now, let's do a dedication. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have an ancient Tuesday ahead. Thanks everyone for participating and see you guys next time. Bye bye.